there is another cornerback signing that I think we are all very, very excited about, and that is Emmanuel Moseley. What Brad Holmes did this offseason is address one of the Lions' greatest needs and also get veterans, proven players. And Emmanuel Moseley, he's a guy who's played for some pretty good coaches, both head coaches and defensive coaches. But listen to what he said about Dan Campbell.
Right? If he gets his knee right, he's a steal. This kid can play. And I've talked to my friends who are out there covering the 49ers. They love this guy. This guy plays bigger than his position. He can hit with the best of them. You got to see his highlight reel. This is a good signing, Bray.
Yeah, I looked at his highlight reel, and I also heard some of the stuff that D'Amico Ryan said once he signed with us as Detroit Lions. He said that's somebody that he wanted to go after with the Houston Texans, believed in that guy that much. I think he can be. I think he's going to be a really good pickup. I think I kind of early on I was like, oh man, you got a guy that's coming in on a prove-it deal and ACL, and to a certain extent I still stand by that a little bit. But just listening and watching film on him, like this is a guy. This is what I love, and I'll come back to him, is the even kill guys that Brad Holmes are going after. If you notice the guys that Brad Holmes are going after, the guys that are already a part of the Detroit Lions, what he's building, now the guys, they're even kill guys. They're not guys that are too high. They're not guys that are too low. They're not guys that are rah, 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 rah. They're guys that are even killing when they get on that game, when they get on that field. They turn into different players. They turn into different beasts. That's what it looks to me. That those are the type of guys he's going after. This guy, D'Amico Ryan said this is one of the players that he wanted to bring to the Houston Texans, but he's now a Detroit Lion. I'm excited. You heard him. He said, hey, look, I'm a mellow guy, but when I get on that field, I turn it up. And
Emmanuel Moseley, if he wouldn't have torn his ACL, I believe that he would have been knocking on the door of a Pro Bowl season, maybe at least borderline Pro Bowler.
Right there.
I mean, when you look at how he was graded last year with his play, it was very, very similar to a Cam Sutton. In the past 2 seasons, Emmanuel Moseley has allowed a passer rating of below 67, which 67 is awful, and it's great if you're a defender, and he hasn't given up a touchdown since 2020. I know that's a little bit inflated because he missed
most. Is that Sauce Gardner you talking about?
Right. He missed most of last season, and he also missed bits and pieces of the season before. But this is a good player. This is a guy that might be just as impactful on the other side of the defensive backfield as a Cam Sutton. And he came in on a prove-it deal. 1 year, $6 million. How can you not? And also, with what he said about Dan Campbell, as I said before, this guy played for some good coaches. He played for Kyle Shanahan, who is one of the best coaches in the NFL, and also defensive coaches. He played for D'Amico Ryans as his defensive coordinator. And before that, it was Robert Saleh, an excellent defensive coordinator. So this guy knows good coaches. And I really like that. And Maz, I know you'll agree with this. I love that he is so complimentary and so excited to play for a Dan Campbell, who we have all grown to love, especially after what he did last year.
No doubt, man. I like these signings. I will say this. I look at the grades, because you got ESPN grading them, Pro Football Focus. You got to pay for that one, by the way. But ESPN, what do you think they gave the Lions free agent class so far? A, to F.
Definitely nothing lower than a B+.
What do you say, Sam?
I would say about B+, B, something like that.
You ready?
Yeah.
They gave him a C.
Wow.
Ooh. Anzalone. I told you, it's the Anzalone signing that gave him a C.
They gave him a C.
I guarantee you it's the Anzalone signing that has them down to a C.
So, I look at that, and it's because it's not a flashy signing. Now, we're going to talk about the remaining free agents that are out there. Most of the quarterbacks are gone. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. They have not signed a backup quarterback yet. And let me just say this.
Yep.
The remainers are very thin.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Side note, let's not forget that we did sign Dre Bly as our DB's coach. I can't wait to see these guys work with Dre Bly, one of UNC's finest Super Bowl winner with the St. Louis Rams and Detroit Lion Pro Bowler back in the early 2000s. So I can't wait to see them work with that. One of the biggest things I keep asking, Flannel Sam, and I'm being patient because Brad Holmes has been so good in free agency, and I do see what the Lions are building, but one of the questions I keep on bringing up, I even asked Dave Burkett this, is being so chill and so reserved in free agency, is that something that's going to benefit or hurt the Lions? Because everybody's so excited about, we're saving money, and we're finding these hidden gems, and we're putting them with the Lions, and we're putting them with this team that we're seeing is built the right way. We're seeing is built going the right way. But other people around the league, analysts, pundits, etc., they view it as maybe a little too reserved. Flannel, what are your thoughts on that?
I could see both sides of the argument because to me, Cam Sutton, that was a signing that
was a damn good one.
You know, that was, I wouldn't say a splash, but when you look at what Jalen, I was all in on getting Jalen Ramsey, but when you see what he commanded, I was even into getting a James Bradbury or a Jamel Dean, but when I saw what Cam Sutton got, what we signed him for, I was like, okay, that's great. The Alex Anzalone one, that was, I wouldn't say puzzling because I get why they did it. It was a good value, especially when you see what a Tremaine Edmonds got. But I think the key to it all is next season. I want to see with the more cap space what Brad Holmes does. And hell, he might not even be done. But it's definitely, I don't think it's a question mark because even on the prove it deals that he's gotten before, like a DJ Chark or a Deshaun Elliott, or even bringing in guys like Kaminsky and Bugs, who were afterthoughts, but then they were re-signed because of their play last year. I'm cool with everything that Brad Holmes has done so far, and I still trust him, although he hasn't made the big splash yet.
Right, and I think you're right. We do need you. Yeah, he does need us to trust him, and we just want the big splash. You know what it is? Like JB, Fletch, like Flannel. It's like playing Madden. Like when you're playing Madden as a kid, you're 12 years old, and they introduce you to free agency. You're trying to get everybody with a big name. You're looking at you like, how much money do I have? What, $7 million? All right, cool. Give me Jerry Rice, give me T.O., give me Randy Moss, give me Deion, let me get Charles Woodson. You just can't get all the free agents that you want to. You know what I'm saying? This is not Madden, although with these fake cap numbers, you believe it is. You can't get all the free agents you want. You can't get the free agents all the time to make the big splash because sometimes there's a reason why you can't get the Bobby Wagners. There's a reason why he's looking at like, I don't know if I want the Von Millers last year, et cetera. So I understand that. I just want to make sure we're not too frugal. We're not too reserved. We're not too on the 3-13-1, which we see progressing. And now we're getting all those guys back. But I'm being reserved. I mean, I take it back. But I'm being patient because there's still a lot of time left and they do have the draft. So I'm being patient. But I'm telling you, I'm not the only one that sees this now.
Absolutely. Fletch, you got something?
Yeah, I think that, I agree with Bray. I think that it's difficult with the free agency to, you're not going to get everybody that you want. But I think we also have to remember, this is the first time that we're seeing Brad Holmes attack free agency. We've seen him go in late rounds in the draft and pick up these no-name players and do something with them. We're seeing James Houston come out and do amazing things on that defensive line. Yeah. What's to say that these lower level players that aren't these big name free agents aren't going to come out here and do insane things in that backfield?
Yeah, no. JB, I want to get your thoughts on
Fletch.
that.
Fletch
on that
dropping
too.
some gems on us.
Absolutely. JB, I know that we all are high on the free agency signings so far, or at least maybe a tempered excitement, but ESPN wasn't so kind. JB, what would you grade the Lions free agency so far?
It's definitely a B. I think Braylon was right on with that Alex Anzalone thing. It's not the flashiest signing, but it's someone that the Lions need. They can depend on. They see that in the future they can count on this guy, hopefully for a long term. But still, I believe it's a B. I don't know what more else Brad Holmes is thinking about doing going further, but I'm fully behind him. I fully trust in whoever he decides to sign and pick up in his next few days.
That's the good thing about it, and I will say it is whether it's ESPN, Pro Football Focus, the 33rd team, which we love, by the way, shout out to our boy, Ari Mayroff, whatever it is, Brad Holmes is like, I don't give a F. I don't care. Brad Holmes is not out here for ESPN. Brad Holmes is not out here for PFF. He's not out here for the 33rd team. He's not out here for the list of analytic sites. Brad Holmes is out here for one thing, and that's the Detroit Lions, the city of Detroit, the people that play for the Detroit Lions, the people that work for the Detroit Lions, and the people that cheer for the Detroit Lions. That is the one thing I can give him. He's not worried about what people are doing, and now he's not making picks based on what people want. He's told us that how many times? That he doesn't care about other people. He's going to do it the right way. That's the one thing I do like. It has been consistent. So that's why I'm always like, when you really want to be like, oh, you did. Be patient. Yeah. I'll be patient.
Yeah, I mean, we all know it's tempting to kind of, especially in the Madden generation, to sort of be like, oh, I want this guy, I want this guy. But there isn't an unlimited supply of cap money. Although it seems like there is sometimes. There's actually many ways you can maneuver it. And you don't want to be too far into those weeds. But yet, you mentioned it. Brad Holmes, he hasn't done anything that would make you scratch your head, anything that I think is a risk of a bad contract, which is hey, what did Bob Quinn do? He got Jamie Collins and Trey Flowers. Bad contracts, contracts that hurt this team in the beginning of Brad Holmes' tenure. And I don't see that from Brad Holmes. I see calculated signings, like Emmanuel Moseley, for example. I think that'll turn out to be a great one. I think that he can be a guy that plays somewhat to borderline Pro Bowl level. Cam Sutton, absolutely.